Hello, thanks for joining us for the first part of our social justice series. Tonight we're talking about education with Abby and Michael, who are Mercy Volunteer Corps alumni. Can you all introduce yourselves? Tell us where you serve, what you're doing now.
Yeah, my name is Abby Reiker. I'm from Ohio. I went to University of Dayton, and once I graduated a special ed degree, and in 2015, I moved to Savannah, Georgia, and I served with Mercy Volunteer Corps for a year. I worked at Georgia Infirmary, which was working with adults with disabilities. And then after that, I decided to come serve at St. Michael's Special Ed through Mercy Volunteer Corps in St. Michael's, Arizona. And during my year of service, I served in the adult day program. And then after my year of service, I got hired on as a teacher in the autism support classroom. And 4 years later, I am still here in the autism support classroom, working at St. Michael's on the Navajo Nation.
Nice. Well, hello, I'm Michael Jaeger. I grew up outside the city of Chicago. I graduated in the winter of 2015 from Lewis University. I'm a special ed teacher. I volunteered in 2016 out here in St. Michael's at SMAYS. I work in the classrooms called the Learning Support Classroom. That's where I volunteered. And then after my service here, I got hired on as a teacher. So currently I still work in the same classroom with basically the same students and all the same pairs.
Thank you. Can you tell us a little bit about the social justice issues that you see in the work that you do in education, life on the res?
Yeah, so I think our job just kind of screams social justice in a lot of ways. One of the ways is we work at a special ed school. The special ed population is a very underserved population in the whole world. So being able to speak up for our students, most of our students are nonverbal. Every student in my class is nonverbal. Most of the students in Mike's class are nonverbal. So they're not able to speak up for themselves. And even the ones that can talk, they still need that support and that guide to speak up for what they deserve. So just being able to reach out to the parents, reach out to the students, and just making sure that they get what they need, that their needs are met, and just that they get the quality of life that they deserve, that everyone deserves. And then on top of that, also.
Yeah, the other big social justice piece of serving out here in St. Michael's is that the school is located on the Navajo Nation, which is a federally recognized Native American reservation. It's the biggest in the country. So that just goes without saying, that's a total marginalized group of people for hundreds of years. And it's just all about kind of breaking the stereotype of what the person is like who lives on a reservation. Just from childhood to adult, everyone has this idea of what this person looks like. And for more than that share of people, that's not really what it looks like here. So it's important just to kind of, advocate to your friends and people on the outside world that, those things aren't true. And through research and experiencing those things, you can really go about kind of breaking that stereotype and giving the people that live here the respect they have always deserved.
Can you talk a little bit about access to different types of resources that affect your teaching and life in general there?
Yeah, we live in a pretty remote area. We live in Window Rock, Arizona, and there are a few grocery stores, but the grocery stores that are here are limited in supplies, and there's two right here. The reservation is the size of West Virginia, and there's how many grocery stores?
13.
13 grocery stores on the whole reservation. We're fortunate that we have two of them right here, but most people rely on going to Gallup, New Mexico to get a lot of their needs met, go to the grocery store, get different things. And then beyond that, Gallup is also a very small town, if you've even heard of Gallup. So they have to go to Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is about 2.5 hours, or to Flagstaff, which is 3 hours, to do any crucial doctor's appointments, to, basically a lot of their important needs, they have to travel far. Even like to go to the airport, it's 2.5 hours away. So it's a struggle, and somewhere that I've really seen that is in my class. All my students have autism, and behaviors are a big thing amongst my students, and negative behaviors. And one of my students, we really wanted them to go see a behavior specialist to try and kind of nail these out, to just kind of figure out the best route for the student. and it was a 2-year waiting list. And I mean, at first the parents were like, we're not going to do it. It's too long. And I was like, just get your name on that list. Like, if it's not on that list, this is going to continue to be a problem. Well, they were finally going to be able to have the appointment this March, and then COVID hit and the appointment obviously got canceled. So, I mean, that's just an example of limited resources and how a lot of our students and just a lot of our coworkers have to wait for appointments like that. And a lot of our students, like on a monthly basis, have to drive to Flagstaff for different like helmet fittings, wheelchair fittings, oxygen tanks, and Flagstaff is 3 hours away. And a lot of students, yeah, they may have cars, they may have transportation, but gas to get there, that
takes all day.
And it takes all day, so you have to get off work. And I mean, it's a ways. So
yeah. Yeah, there's just a general lack of resources all around, not just at our school or at the St. Michael's Indian School, where volunteers used to serve a few years back, but just on the whole reservation as a whole, even in all of northern Arizona, like Abby said, it's really remote, so it's just far away from a lot of things. So just having access to, basic things like water and electricity, that's really scarce out here on the reservation. And then, more school-oriented things, we don't have the same capabilities of therapies that you would have in a bigger city like Phoenix, with music therapy or aquatic therapy and just different things that we just don't have access to. So, we try our best to make do with what we have, but it's just a general lack of resources all around, from our school to all the public schools. We all struggle with that. So there's a sense of solidarity that we're all trying to make the best of this situation.
And something that also just came to mind, specifically at our school, we have no full-time certified therapists, and we work with like a crucial population that needs therapists. But therapy comes few and far between anywhere, but let alone where we live. So we have a therapist that comes from Pennsylvania once a year to do the evals that we need. We have a therapist that comes from Colorado to do evals that we need. We're constantly trying to contract with schools in New Mexico to bring students to try and get some services. So we're always trying to find other services just because we don't have direct therapy. We do have a speech pathologist aide who's phenomenal, and we've learned so much from her, and she keeps in touch with and the therapies that we have contracted are amazing. So we've had volunteers serve in therapy positions who have just flourished and learned so much because the people we have contracted are amazing and can help us. But on staff, we don't have the direct therapies.
How has COVID-19 impacted the reservation and school?
Awfully.
Yeah, it's if you've been paying attention to the TV at all, dispersingly in there, you've seen President Nez, who's the president of the Navajo Nation. He's been on CNN and CBS This Morning and all these different kind of news shows, just really highlighting how bad the pandemic is out here, for a variety of reasons. One, the healthcare system, just, IHS, Indian Health Service, cannot keep up with that. It's already such a severely underfunded government program to begin with. And so you add a global pandemic on top of that, and there's just they can't keep up. They're trying their best. President Nez and his staff, they're doing as best they can, delivering foods to chapter houses way out on the reservation, because the reservation's huge. So they're trying their best to get supplies out to those people, but it's just not enough. So it's really taken a toll on people's just sense of security and what how safe people feel going outside. And for us in the school, we just don't see our students anymore, and we work with a very high need population. So for them not to be in school, it's troublesome, just because we just don't know what their home lives are like. And, people have a lot of stuff on their minds right now, and having to take care of your son or daughter full time who needs a lot of attention I'm sure that's very overwhelming.
And like I said, all of our students, most of them are nonverbal. Most of our students do not have internet. And then a lot of our students cannot write. So it's like, what do you send home in these packets and these distant learnings? So we've been sending home boxes with manipulatives. So like some of my students' goals are stacking cups, and that's their math goal. So I send home cups for them to stack, and different things like that. But even those tasks have to be done with a parent or a guardian or a provider, because otherwise they wouldn't really necessarily know what to do with it. So to put that on the parents is a lot. And I feel for them. They're trying to feed their cattle and do their sheep, and they're trying to do everything else that they have and all the other kids that they have in their house. So to ask them to be one-on-one with our student daily is quite impossible, and it's an unrealistic request. So it's really probably taken a toll on our students. Our parents they've all been absolutely great and trying, and we've talked to them on the phone, but it's just realistically, it's not.
Yeah, it's just not the same. I know working with our students specifically, like I said, they're really high need, and there's just some things you can't replicate at home. And that's, being at school is more than learning, addition, subtraction, and phonics. For our kids, we focus a lot on functional skills and these life skills. And a big part of a functional and a life skill is learning how to act in a group, or what you do when you're walking somewhere, if you're going to get lunch, and how those routines and procedures work. You can't replicate that at school, nor do you have other students or just noises that happen during the day. Those stuff, you just can't replicate that stuff at home. So that's really the biggest toll that we see with our students missing out due to COVID and not being in the classroom.
Yeah. With all the work that you're doing, what do you do to keep yourselves positive and able to keep doing work that can feel maybe stagnant or frustrating at times?
I think so. If anyone's ever been out to this part of the country before, we're located in northern Arizona, on the border of Arizona and New Mexico is where Window Rock's at. And if you know anything about this area, it is one of the prettiest places in all of the United States. You can't beat the big wide open skies and the beautiful red rocks, and that's just all around you all the time. So being able to go outside and really experience nature and kind of be able to, let the cool breeze, hit you in the face and kind of resettle you and humble you a little bit is a really good way for me and Abby, how we kind of are able to recharge and reset.
And something else that has been helping us is just the culture and the people that we have met out here. The Navajo culture is an incredibly beautiful culture that we've been able to learn a lot about. And all of the staff that we work with and all of our friends out here have become family. And so they're always checking in on us. The staff members in our classroom are calling us like on a weekly basis, just making sure we're okay. We end up talking to them for an hour about what they're feeding their grandkids and that they went on a walk and that they're making this type of mask. And so it's just really cool to feel like that and feel like family out here. We always say that our staff members are like our grandparents. Like they really have taken us under their wing. And something else is that they always tell us that they'll pray for us, and we tell them that we'll pray for them. And that they mean it, because the Navajo culture is so incredibly spiritual. And prayer is such a big thing that when they say that, that they're really praying for you, and you can feel those prayers, and you can feel that they're really looking out for us. And even our principal always tells us, we're always like, don't worry about us, Jim. And he's like, I'm worried about you. Like, you guys are alone out here. Your family's far, and I'm worried about you, and I'm going to be here to support you. And just hearing that, it's like, wow, like that is nice to know that he's worried. Like, not that he should be worried, but just knowing that he's thinking about us and that he cares about us. And if we needed anything, he would be there for us. And we laugh, like when this all first happened, we ordered some masks online at Etsy just so we could have cloth masks, because out here it's mandatory at every store, which now, I don't know, it's like mandatory everywhere. But and then within, like, before the masks even came from Etsy, we had 2 masks sitting on our porch that one of our coworkers dropped off. We had some in our work bin. We ended up getting like 6 masks from people that we work with, which was amazing. You just know that they were thinking of us, but they made it, and they're like, we need to give some to Mike and Abby, which was just very, very cool. You just know people are here for you, and you know that you have support, even like being so far away from family and friends.
Yeah, definitely. The energy just kind of all around you is really palpable. You can just really feel that the energy of, people's spirituality, the energy of, the commitment to community and to sacrifice for each other. It's all around you all the time. So it's really palpable, that kind of positive energy, even in a negative situation, just kind of checking in on people and, seeing how we're doing, that really kind of lifts our spirits.
Yeah. For people who might be interested in Mercy Volunteer Corps, what are some of the things that being a Mercy volunteer maybe helped drive you to be more passionate about social justice or helped you professionally?
I love Mercy Volunteer, and I could talk about them forever.
But one of the coolest things about serving specifically here on the Navajo Reservation at SMAES is that if you're in the education field, you just gain such a unique perspective on education, and on education specifically working in an impoverished area. You just can't beat that firsthand knowledge that you can get working in a school and, figuring out, the ins and outs of being that teacher or being that, support person for someone who really needs it. And that's such a unique perspective that you can't get anywhere else.
And something I think, at first I just love Mercy. Being from Savannah and being here, it's just, I don't know, the support that Mercy Volunteer gives and the opportunities that they give are just something that will carry with me the rest of my life and have made me the person that I am today. We always joke that wherever we move next, we want to make sure that they have Mercy Volunteer in that city so that we can still be a part and that we don't move away from it, because we just love Mercy. But I think just like being a Mercy Volunteer, and especially serving out here, like it is not the easiest thing. I mean, you're working in a special ed population, it's not easy, but you have so much support and so many prayers and spirituality night in your community that here we are 4 years, 5 years, however many years later, still here because we've loved it so much. And it's challenging in such a beautiful and growing way that you can just feel yourself changing in a powerful way. Not just, I don't know, it's really cool to like look back and reflect on our volunteer year and the things that we've learned and the places that we've gone, and I don't know, the opportunities that we've had because of Mercy Volunteer Corps. And especially specifically serving out here, something big that I will always carry with me is that in the Navajo culture, it's not always about moving from point A to point B. It's about your journey there, if you even get there, whenever you get there, which has been really fruitful for me to learn, because I'm very type A in that aspect. It's like, we're going to have this meeting and we're going to accomplish this and this and this. And before we leave, I'm going to remind you that you have to do this, this, and this. And that is not how it is here. We'll have a meeting for 3 hours and we'll leave being like, all right, what did we talk about? And then you really think about what you talked about and you're like, okay, I didn't talk about the end results, but we talked about all these other cool things that, I mean, even if they didn't have to do with our specific task, that were still fruitful. So it's just really learning to like take it in and breathe and slow down and not rush everything just to get to the finish line, but like really, really process everything that you're going through. And I always laugh because I always see him running around campus. Our campus is the most beautiful school campus you'll ever see in your life. I teach out of a hogan, which is the traditional Navajo. People always think like a teepee is a traditional native structure, where a hogan is the Navajo traditional structure where they have ceremonies in. Well, my classroom is a hogan that was transformed into a classroom. So typically they have dirt floors, but mine is actually like a classroom, but it's the coolest building ever. I always take pictures of it during the day because I just can't get over how cool the classroom is. But every classroom is separate. So like Michael's classroom is across the field basically from mine, and you go in separately. So the cafeteria is another building, the office is another building, everything is, therapy is another building. So you always have to walk outside to get where you're going. So just being at our campus is like the most beautiful place to teach and to be and to process everything and to grow as a teacher.
For people who are ending their volunteer year and transitioning home, what advice would you give them?
I think this is a tough question for me and Abby, just because we are like still somewhat living our volunteer year. Yeah, we have a salary and those things that come with having a job after your volunteer year, but outside of that, we still try and live by the tenets of the Mercy Corps, simplicity, community, spirituality. Those things are just core values for me and Abby. And just staying out here has just kind of been an extension of our volunteer year. But I think one thing that's really important is to stay in touch with your community or stay in touch with people that you met through the Mercy Corps, whether they served in a different area or not, because those are the people that truly understand what you went through and, why you did it. A lot of people just don't get it. And that's no fault of their own. They just don't understand why you would want to donate a year of your time for something, and so to keep your community close is a really powerful thing, and they'll help you as, your ups and downs go, as you're transitioning back into reality. Your community will be there for you.
And I think something else to take away is just to reflect. I think during your volunteer year, you're kind of forced to reflect on a lot of things. You're in that vulnerable state. You do community nights where people ask you questions. You have to have check-in calls with your support and with Mercy and with this and that. And so you're constantly kind of reflecting on how you feel and how you do this and how you do that. And I think that is something you should take on with you wherever you go, just to reflect, how is it going? How is your job going? And not just to say, oh, it's fine, but to like really dig deep and say your feelings and process them. And if you want to cry, let it out, and then figure out what to change to make it better. But to really just like process life and just to reflect on it. Because I think so often we just try and do, and then we don't actually like pause. And that is what I was about to say before I said the classroom thing, is that I laugh because Michael, I see him running around campus and he has this fro and he's running, and our staff are always like, slow down. Where are you going? Like, slow down. And he's like, you're right. Why am I speeding? And they're always reminding us to slow down. So that kind of goes back to reflecting. But just to like slow down and take in life. Like, life is quick. Life is fast. So just to really take it in and to reflect on things. When you're on a walk, just like stop and listen to that bird that you randomly hear, or yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Just if you're at work and there's someone that you want to talk to real quick, but you're in a hurry, just stop and talk to them for a second. What they have to say might be fruitful. So just slowing down in life.
Yeah.
I always need to think about that because I go too fast.
You and me both. Thank you both so much for sharing your stories and spending some time with us tonight, so that we can know a little bit more about teaching at SMAYS and being in St. Michael's, Arizona. So thank you for taking the time to do this.
Of course. We're happy
you.
to. We always say we could talk about this forever because we love it out here. And every year we say, one more year we're going to stay, and then we should move closer to family. And then every year it's another year. And here we are. We're staying again next year if anyone's wondering. So we'll be on year 5. It's a magical place. And I couldn't be more thankful that I've served out here, that he served out here. It has brought us so much in life. And it's the best decision that I've ever made.
Yeah, dude. Do a year of service. It'll help you out tremendously, even if you don't think so right away. The benefits are all around. So do a year of service.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you. I totally agree.
I would say if we could do a year of service, like, again, what age should we do it? Like, we want to do it again in our life. Like, when should we do another one?
Yeah, I love that. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andrea.
Thanks, Andrea.
Yeah. Have a good night.
Take
You
care.
too. Bye.